We are in a new era, and more the safety to be seen is is being made available, and we have a role to play in this. And I'm so excited to share some stuff with you. Hopefully, just this is like the first layer. I'm going to do 3 of these, and I have built them to really build on each other and expand. And just to dive right into it. This is the part one. This is the part one training of what it takes to be seen, the courage and the freedom to be seen, and then feeling safe to be seen, so that the song that's inside can come out, so that the dance that's inside can come out, so that the poem, the book, the service, whatever it is, can come out and make an impact, change people's lives, and so that we can each feel liberated within ourselves and within our own creativity and our own expression and our own beauty, soul beauty. And I talk about beauty a lot. And even before I go, I want to say what beauty is to me. When I talk about beauty, I'm talking about integrity. I'm talking about coming in full alignment with who and what we are, who we are inside, as well as like how we were created externally by Mother Nature, and how to come into full integrity and alignment with that, so that when we're in alignment with our essence, the integrity of our soul. Oh, Linda, I'm sorry it's not playing on your iPad. I had some serious difficulties getting on here, but when we are in that alignment, the people, places, and things that are meant for us come to us, and it is just easier. It's easier to take those risks. It's easier to step out. It's easier to extend ourselves. It's easier to ask for that favor, although I don't know if it'll ever be easier to ask for that favor. So yeah, I want this for all of us, because the time is right. I'm seeing some people on here. Bob Jesser, so many years. Nice to see you, friend. Nice to see you, friend. So yeah, so talking about being seen, just diving right in. Really healing the old wounds is really the first part. And one of the main wounds that so many women carry, and I know Bob's here, I don't know if any other brothers are here, but the one that us women carry is the story of being too much. It's just it's like I never ever meet a woman who doesn't have some version of this. Even if she is like super evolved and has done so much work, there's always this underlying thing of, I'll be too much of that thing, and then that will make people go away. I'll be too much of that thing, and I will alienate other women. I'll be too much of that thing, and I will push away my partner. This is like, I'll be too emotional, I'll push away my partner. I'll be too sexy, I'll push away other women. I'll be too needy, I'll push away everybody. And these are like, the negative sort of adjectives of the too much. But there is a place, I believe strongly, and this is through my own work with people and my own journey, that the place of too much, the story of too much that we have, that's actually the same opening to the depth of our unique essence, to the depth of our uniqueness. And I have a way of helping women to actually cultivate that, to become, because it is the essence, to actually turn it into the light and offer it as the offering that is the essence of each of us. And so what I really want to invite you, even right now as you're here, to start taking some stock of where you have held yourself to be too much. Really, what are you too much of? I mean, is it if you exert your power, your full power, you'll push people away? Is it that you're too playful? Is it that you think you're too soft, or you'll be weak? Or like, what is it? What is the too much for you? Is it that you want too much attention, that you require too much attention, and that can't possibly be okay? Because how are you going to be seen if the attention you want is actually the way it's running inside of you, is that it's not okay? So I'm talking about healing these old wounds, and one of like the most significant one is uncovering what's the too much story, and how to come back from that, and how to alchemize that. And I do that in a really fun and playful and celebratory way. I do it through colors and clothes and embodiment. But regardless, you want to get a hold of that. You want to get a hold of what is that, and how can I transmute it? How can I really turn it inside out? it's really, what is that narrative? What's the narrative that's running inside that's saying I'm too much of this, too much of this? Hi, Rana. Hi, Beauty. So we're talking about healing the old wounds and really uncovering the too much story. What are you too much of? What are each of us too much of? What is that narrative? Because that's the key. That's the key to unlocking the essence, right? These are the woundings. Like all of the programming that would say that you are not free and liberated to express your most authentic self would have us believing that the very thing that is our gift, the very thing that is the key to our liberation is actually too much. So shut it down. Don't be that. Don't be that. Be something else. But no, I'm saying be that. What are you too much of? Let's go into that. Let's dive into it. Let's express it. Let's let people see it. And this is a process, right? It's a dance. It's like, okay, I'll let people see a little bit of it and see how I'm received. I'm glad this is landing for you. So that's a really big part, and it's like it's such a key element in learning to decode your unique, authentic self-expression. For me, it's always been that I'm too intense. It was always like I'm too much, I'm too intense, and learning to decode the gifts that Mother Nature had given me. Like for me, like understanding the gift. This is so simple, but learning to understand the gift of my curly black hair was life-changing. Because I was learning the love of Mother Nature, and it was like once I really got that Mother Nature doesn't make mistakes, and it's possible that I have everything that I need to be who I'm here to be. This piece of me that was always trying to be somebody else. I mean, I can't even tell you just how much I kept changing myself to fit this guy or fit that job or to fit this person or to fit that position or to be more like her or more like that person, where all I needed to do to experience the liberation that I was wanting to experience was to come home to myself and to embrace the too much and turn it inside out. And the way that I did this, the way that I teach this, is through embracing the love of the divine feminine and really embodying her through receiving the love of Mother Nature as she is our creator. She doesn't make mistakes. So I'm suggesting, as I always do, that, we have everything that we need. We have everything that we need down to, how we're created. And I'm going to go into that more, but I just want to keep unpacking how to create the courage and create the freedom to be seen and then feel safe being seen. So the too much story is being the first part. And then it's really owning the shadow. Owning the shadow of the feminine is this is kind of what's been up as part of the Me Too movement, right? And I will tie this back together, but it's owning the shadow of the feminine. And what I mean by this is, owning the part of each single one of us that would use our sexuality, our desirability to get what we want, to manipulate. Really owning that. Like that's one part of that shadow. And because so many women on a spiritual path especially are afraid of that and are like, no, I don't do that, then there's a disowning of it. But so when I'm saying ownership of the shadow, is like really taking hold of that part. Yeah, there is a part of you. There is a part of me. There's a part of me that did commoditize my looks, that did commoditize my sexuality, absolutely. And I was on a very specific journey of unfolding so that I could be here and serve you. But I own it. I own it, and I'm aware that it's there. Even in every situation, I'm aware that is a part of me. And so I invite you to really embrace that, because if you want to be seen, if you want to really let yourself be seen and be free in that, and have the impact that you want and connections that you want, that requires that nothing is left unturned. And so, yeah, there is a part of me that would manipulate. And so really owning that. That's just like one little piece of the shadow piece. And then, it's also this piece of, this is just so key, and this is the part that ties into the Me Too movement, is the part of buying, like why we would use our looks and our sexuality and our femininity and our, our juiciness to manipulate anything is because we would have bought into our own powerlessness. So really owning the part that would buy into our powerlessness to say that our desirability is a source of power. I mean, it is, but it's pretty limited. Desirability is a source of power, but it's limited, it's pretty shallow, it doesn't run very deep, it doesn't really create the impact that we want. It's our beingness, like our connection and our residing and our homeness with who and what we are, every shade, every texture, that's the power. That's the power. So buying into the powerlessness, and this is again, I'm still talking about the shadow, still talking about the things that need to be brought to light and owned, so that we can move towards letting ourselves be seen, because it is becoming more and more and more and more safe. And for me, and what I teach my clients for a long time is that it is safe. It is safe. It's everything is where your consciousness resides. And so how do we give you the safety and the confidence and clear your consciousness to the place where you allow yourself to be seen and feel safe in that? It's everything is where our consciousness resides. And so this is what I've been teaching for a long time, but now it's actually like the world is on board, and you have more evidence. You have more evidence to step into this journey and, look at some of these things that I'm talking about, so you can move forward on in letting us see your light and receive your gifts and your creativity and your wisdom. And God, all I know is that we need you, that our world needs you. I mean, this rise, like you're not separate from it, right? It's every single one of us. It's your creativity, yours, words, yours, mine. Like, it's that creativity that is, if this is landing for you, I would love to see some hearts and some likes, just so, because sometimes people tell me that I can be really esoteric, and so that would really help if it's landing for you. And let's see, what am I really, and then, okay, yeah, so you have a role to play in this rise, right? We each do. We are of each other's blood, so we are of each other's bodies. We are one body, at least that's how I relate to the global sisterhood of women. I firmly believe that we are one body, and I also believe that those of us who live in the West, those of us who have these freedoms that we take for granted, have a responsibility to really move through our own inner barriers and step beyond, welcome if you're just joining, step beyond our own limitations, our own worries, to greater and greater freedoms. Because I believe since we have more freedom, the more and more of it that we claim, that this actually ripples to the women who are oppressed and who have so much less freedom than we do. And that's so much a big part of my why is I as I've gotten older, even though I've spent the majority of my adult life I've spent in America, but it's like the older that I get, the more that I mature, the more that I can feel the women in the Middle East in my blood. And so I'm so clear that our liberation is tied to each other, that there's no separation. So when I say we need your creativity, we need you to let us see you, please take what I'm saying and take it for yourself and have a look and see where can I have a new way of being here. And another part of the shadow, so we talked about the part of the shadow being owning the shadow was owning the part that would manipulate and commoditize, and then also the part that has bought into the powerlessness that would then say that I'm going to commoditize with my looks or my desirability. That's part 2. And then part 3 is really, actually, this is so subtle and yet so profound, is this part of each woman that wants to be seen, and yet she is rejecting the part of herself that wants to be seen. Like, if you're rejecting the part of yourself that wants to be seen because you're saying that it's shallow, or that it's selfish, or that it's like needy or attention wanting, or whatever your mother called you, whatever your father called you, whatever your big sister called you, and whatever comparison stories you've run that would have you reject your need to be seen. Like if you would deem it shallow, I invite you to really have a look at that part. And then, just I'm gonna teach you how to shift that. I'm gonna teach you how to shift that. But first and foremost, really, yeah, I want to be seen, and I don't even let myself have that desire, like to own that. This is part of owning the shadow that needs to be owned, so we can step into the freedom that we so want. And here's the thing. This is like the nature. Just for a moment, like if you could remember with me a moment where someone genuinely looked into your eyes and reflected back to you about how beautiful you are. Like you're beautiful. You're beautiful. Or a moment where somebody like saw some of your gifts and just really acknowledged, how do you like them apples? The sirens. I'm sorry, you guys. My hair is a little crazy. How you felt when someone really saw your gifts, when someone really acknowledged your gifts, like what that feeling is, and what happens to your nervous system, what happens to your body. So when this is the cure, this is the remedy for that part of you that would reject the part of you that wants to be seen, is remembering that the female essence, like the feminine essence, loves to be seen. She loves to be celebrated and seen and told, wow, hello, beauty. Hi, gorgeous. So nice to see you. I mean, it's like, look at a 4-year-old little girl, who runs up to you in her tutu and says, do you like my tutu? Do you like my tutu? She wants to be seen. She wants to be seen. And it's like, that's the feminine essence. Like we open. When we're seen, we actually open. But if we could walk through those pieces, and even this piece that I'm talking about, around the shadow and the too muchness, so that we can just like lay down this armor that is so afraid that, what's here is not beautiful, that it's not received, that it won't be understood, right? This, like one of mine, like around my work, is just sometimes when I talk, at least to people that I don't know, they're like, oh, you're so esoteric. And it's just like, okay, I keep bringing it back down to earth. And then I also know what it's like when someone really receives my gifts, right? It's just like, whew, like so healing at a core, at like a core deep place, when someone's able to receive you and see you and reflect back your light to you. And I know you want that, right? Because that, like, if they're reflecting your light back to you, it means you made a connection and you made an impact. So you've already had an impact and you've made a connection. But if you haven't made a connection and you haven't had an impact, they can't reflect it back to you. This is this dance, right? We let our light shine, it creates impact, connection, and then they give it back to us by acknowledging it. And that actually opens us, because that's the nature of the feminine. The nature of the feminine is that she wants to be seen. She wants to be celebrated. I mean, like if you look at all the deities of the goddesses, like always just like, this is where English being my second language, it's like, whoop, gone, word is gone. Adorned. Adorned. The goddess is being adorned. It's like, yes, like the goddess wants to be seen, and she lives in you. She lives as you, and yet you have to be willing to walk through the old stories, the old wounds, and fully owning the shadow to begin making your way to increasing your connection and increasing your impact. And, it's like until now, there's been, excuse me for 1 second. I want to talk about a third way. And if you actually, this came up because the interview that I did with Jessa Crispin, and I don't know if you saw that, after this, maybe you can go and find it on my feed, but we were having a conversation around radical feminism and what's available to us now. How can we be radicals? How can we get uncomfortable? And, I really loved Jessa's book. And during the interview, we definitely were not seeing eye to eye whatsoever. It was like, woof. And what I loved about her book, though, and this is what I love about anyone who takes a stand, is that it inspired creativity in me. It inspired, because she was so radical, then I was like, yeah, so what is an alternative? What is a solution? And here's what and I'm going to share with you like what my solution is and what I work to embody every day and what I teach my students and my clients. And, it's really basically around our being seen. So here's the piece, right? It's like, we want to be seen in our creativity, in our gifts, in our full expression. We also want to be seen in our sensuality and sexuality. Now, we don't want all this nonsense energy coming at us. We just want to be free to own all of it. Every woman I know wants to be free to own all of it. And that's a whole part of the journey as well, like owning it, like coming into right relationship with all these different aspects. But the way that it's been set up until now is that it's either been that it's the most important thing is like, the most important thing is like looking good and getting attention. I'm talking about being seen, like looking good, getting attention, being able to, manipulate other people or get what we want or wear this or wear the tight jeans and, whatever it is, push up the cleavage, whatever it is, that's been like one model. And then here's the model of a woman who is like, but that's so not all that I am. I'm like this multifaceted human being with so much to offer. So I'm just now going to say that that's not that important. Being seen is not that important. Being in fully at home with myself in a way that creates external connection is not that important. So, okay, so it's either that way or now I'm going to say it's not that important and I'm just going to become practical. I'm going to connect with you from heart to heart. I'm going to work to create a connection from soul to soul and heart to heart and create a connection in that way. And I'll just become super practical. I'll become practical. I'll wear that thing that doesn't show my cleavage. I won't wear those jeans that, squeeze my butt in them. And I won't do that because I am more than that. So those are the two options that we predominantly lived with. Hey, Linda, I'm glad you were able to make it. And then there's the third way, right? Because so it's basically, and when we do become practical, that's in essence shutting down a lot of the parts, a lot of the things that are like the juice of the feminine superpowers. There are feminine superpowers. And yes, intuition is one of them, and our sensuality is one of them. And like beauty and sensuality, embodiment, these are like, when they click together, it's, and sisterhood, it's like, and I'm going to keep unpacking this for you. So here's the thing. Don't shut it down. Here's my offering. Here's my creativity. Here's my invitation. Don't shut it down. And don't commoditize it. Don't commoditize it. Don't manipulate with it. Don't buy into it as the most important thing externally. Know that you are so much more than that. And don't choose from fear. Don't choose from fear of what you don't want to be, and don't choose from fear that the world isn't safe. Instead, and so don't shut it down. And allow it. Allow all of it. Allow all of it to be a blessing. So what I'm talking about is just changing the consciousness. Okay, so fully owning your beauty, fully allowing yourself to be seen, still getting dressed, still wearing that thing, still maybe even putting up the cleavage if you want, but knowing that it is not whatsoever about manipulating. It is about being a blessing because how you hold the frequency, because of how in integrity you are with yourself, and you know what your codes are. You know what your Mother Nature goddess-given codes are to be in full alignment with yourself as a woman. In that way, you can show up. You can show up and be seen in your beauty and in your sensuality and in your totality, and have it be a blessing. And show up in your totality. That means if one day you show up and you're vulnerable and crying, have that be the blessing. But there's this place where, here's the thing. It's like this quote by Brené Brown that I love and I use a lot, which is that the number one place that women can be shamed is around body image and self-image. And so what I'm talking about, I'm bringing this up because there's no way that this doesn't tie into being seen. It ties into being seen for every single woman I talk to. That's, I mean, and it was a big part of my own journey as well. And if you followed me for a while, then you know a bit about that. So here's the thing that I want to say to you. You can't make an impact if you are not seen. If you decide to wear that thing that ultimately functions as an invisibility cloak for you, because you think somebody said it's elegant, hint, hint, the color black for most people, then you can't make your impact. You can't make your connection. You can't make your impact. And you can't make your impact, which is a give, the connection, which is a give. You can't receive that thing that you want, which is to be seen and to be received. This reciprocal dance that we so want for each other, with each other, this connection that we're so longing for. Right? Connection leads to everything, to finding the beloved, to connecting with your ideal clients, connection that, sisterhood, brotherhood, like everything that we want ultimately depends on connection. And yet, if we make it so hard to see each other, it doesn't mean that we don't connect, but I'm just talking about like a whole other level of being seen, letting yourself be seen at a whole other level. And, so how do we allow ourselves to be seen? How do we allow ourselves to be seen? It's learning to see is a part of it. But I want to talk about something. It's like, I'll never forget the story. About 9 or 10 years ago, I was on the promenade in LA, and I had just come out of a movie. And, the street performers were performing. The musicians were performing. And there was a big circle of people standing there. And it was a musician was playing a song, a Persian song, that was, hi everyone, I see some hearts and likes. The musician was playing like my favorite song, my favorite Persian song. It's it's a song that I like grew up dancing to when I was studying dance. It was like, how you hear some music and like the rhythm is just like in your body and you can't stop it. That was the song for me, and it had been this song like my whole life, and I couldn't believe that this guy is like playing the song on the 3rd Street Promenade in Santa Monica. And some people were dancing. There was like a, American woman or Caucasian woman dancing, and some Persian women were dancing. And I'm a dancer, okay? And I'm standing there, and I would not let myself dance. The impulse, this impulse inside of me came up to dance, in my body came to dance, and the song that I love that would open me, and I would not let myself dance. And I stood there. I stood there the whole time going, I'm going to step in now. I'm going to step in now. I'm going to step in now. I'm going to dance now. And I stood there kind of like wiggling my hips. But this is like, I trained in classical Persian dance. I could rip up that whole, space. And I stood there and the song ended. And I was heartbroken. I was just devastated as I walked to the car. It was like, oh my God. Like, I am so not allowing that which is in me to be seen, to be an offering. And that was just like one of those moments. You have these moments that are so revealing about our consciousness and where we are and who we really being, that are like, wow, I got to handle that. And that was one of those moments where I was like, I am holding back. I am holding back a lot. And you may have not known it, right? If you would have met me, like, I don't think that that's what people would have said. I had been already teaching, and I was really connected. I had a vibrant community of conscious people that I was connected to, and I was going to dance, ecstatic dance. I was like everywhere. You wouldn't have thought that. I didn't know that I held myself back that much. And ultimately what I learned is that the reason for it was that I didn't really believe that everything that was inside of me was actually perfectly and pristinely pointed to who I'm here to be and my purpose. And when I speak about purpose, and I did a video on this a couple of days ago, I'm really talking about our beingness, like who we are here to be. And I didn't believe that I have everything I need to be on purpose, that my expression was beautiful in all of its forms, that I was plugged into like some sort of perfectionism that didn't really allow for shit to flow. Like really, like anything that wasn't like, I have no idea what was going on, but I remember that moment. It was just such a painful moment. And it's funny, I was just talking to a young lady who joined my signature program a couple of days ago, and she was telling me this exact same story. She was at a festival or a conference, and there was like a musical section, and her friends were all dancing, and she couldn't, even though she really wanted to. She just stood in her spot and danced, and she wouldn't let herself, right? So that's this piece around trusting the impulse of life that's in us, that has to do more with the sensuality and like the healing of the sexuality and like the safety and, you know, feeling safe in our bodies to run that amount of energy and then have eyes on us. There's all of these pieces. And the most important piece, the most foundational piece that gives us the permission to let ourselves be seen, like taking off the, you know, the coverings, and all the things that we hide behind and all the non-expression that we walk with that ends up like stifling us, is learning to see ourselves. You know, really learning to see our unique beauty. And again, when I talk about beauty, I'm talking about integrity. I'm talking about the physicality of how you're created. This is one of my absolute favorite tools. It's what I share with my clients, is that there is a uniqueness to each and every single one of us, and how you're created, how Mother Nature created you, and she doesn't make mistakes. How she created you is perfect and on point for who you're here to be, your purpose, your impact, your connection, down to the shape of your nose and the wave in your hair and the size of your breasts and like all of it. Literally everything. It's about learning. Everything's vibration. Right? So when I talk about codes, everything is vibration, light, sound, everything is vibration, color, pigment, shapes, geometry. Everything has a vibration. When, you know, what I do is that I teach you, and I want you to know that there is a unique code that's in the vibration of how you are created, that is literally like, you know how a doctor has like the doctor's bag? That's your toolkit to being ultimately freely self-expressed. That's like the opening door. Because what happens is when we see that we are actually, like when we really start to see, like, you know, oh, this is true. I see how this is my vibrational essence. And I see that when I own it and I reflect it, people see me and connect with me. This landing happens like into the body, and a willingness opens up. A willingness opens up to explore, like maybe. So if I'm fully endowed with everything I need, and even though I walked my whole life looking at myself, thinking I was supposed to be this or I was supposed to be that. So if that's not the case, if I was wrong there, then what else? What else am I wrong about? If I haven't ever seen myself before now, and if I'm seeing myself now, and I'm understanding these gifts that are encoded, the way that I'm encoded by Divine Mother, and how to interpret that and how to own it, to be in my essence, in integrity with myself. Now, what else did I not get right? Right? It's like there's no one ideal of beauty. There's no one ideal of the embodied woman. There's no one ideal. It's just you. It's just you coming into integrity with you, with your vibrational essence. Wow, that's so sweet. David, thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, I mean, it's just thinking that was the shadow. I don't know when you came on, I was talking about the shadow, like part of it is part of this journey of being seen, and the courage and the freedom to be seen is owning the shadow. And part of how the shadow manifests, there's 3 parts that I covered. Part of it is rejecting the desire to be seen and saying that it's shallow, or that it's not real, you know, or that it's not important, or that it's all about me. But it's really a desire for connection. That's all it is. To connect, to make an impact, to be received, and then experience ourselves being received, so we can open and have this dance. That's all that it is, and that's part of the shadow. And let me see. Yeah, and so what happens when you understand these codes and you unplug from there's one standard of beauty, we also get to then, as I'm mostly talking to women, but I'm so honored that you're here, David. So much love. Can't wait till we get to work together again. It's coming. um, is unplugging from a male standard of what it is to be a woman, what it is to be an empowered woman, what it is to be a beautiful woman. Like this, it's so important to unplug from the male standard so that we can land home with ourselves, and what if there is no ideal way? What if there's no ideal way to be beautiful? What if there's no ideal way to be self-expressed? What if there's no ideal way? There is just your integrity, your alignment. Like that's the most important thing that I want to drive home. And so, it's funny because there's so many things that happen when someone commits to working with me, like all of their fears come up. They'll say, what is it? Oh, I'm afraid like you'll make me wear this or you'll make me wear that. And I'm like, listen, I don't have any agenda. My only commitment is reflecting back to you how to align yourself with how Mother Nature created you, your vibrational essence. That's my commitment. How to support you to land there and be there and share that with the world long enough that you come home, and then we can start working on really creating safety for you to be fully self-expressed, right? And that comes with embodiment. And this is funny because I know so many embodied women. I know so many women that are like my sisters, and yet they don't have this piece of feeling safe to be seen. So it's like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Right? It's like, what comes first? Which part comes first? And what I have found to be the most effective is when we see ourselves, when we see our uniqueness, when we come into our vibrational essence and we learn how to reflect that and like be that in the world, it creates a willingness to inhabit the body more fully, more deeply, and then we continue to create that safety. And here's what I want to say. I'm going to talk about confidence in a minute, and I love that word. It's like the journey. What I'm talking about is really a journey of remembering. That's what it is. It's, sometimes it's like I was talking to a woman the other day who was like, I just feel like, she ended up signing up for my signature program and she joined the program, but she was saying there's this part of her that felt like I have to be able to do it by myself. I have to be able to do this by myself. And, it was like, well, it's not, I'm not doing it for you. But there is a remembering that we're called to, a remembering to our essence, to our true nature, so that we can drop the sort of hovering that we do around ourselves. It's like when we're willing to be seen, we're fully in the body. We're fully in the body. And we're fully in integrity with ourselves and projecting it and owning it, right? It's like if you want to be seen, here's the thing. You want to be seen, but you don't get dressed. Meaning you put on jeans and a t-shirt or a sweatshirt and a t-shirt every day. I don't buy that you want to be seen. Put in some effort. Put in some effort. And this is especially for my sisters, right? It's like I had one client one time say, ooh, Anahita, this is a lot of effort. And I was like, yeah, but we're just putting in the effort now. Like we're laying it down so that you have this foundation then to be able to take yourself out into the world and present yourself. So if you want to be seen and you wear black yoga clothes from head to toe every day, you don't want to be seen. And there's a place where a lot of women say, I don't know how, right? I don't know what to wear besides my black yoga clothes. My New Yorkers, oh my God, I'm so blessed. I have so many goddesses from New York who find their way to me, and they tell me they're like the only ones in New York that are decked out like these goddesses. And they say like everywhere they go like, into like a store or they go to church or wherever they go. And people are like, wow. Because there's nobody carrying that frequency in New York, right? New York is like the super masculine city with these big buildings that are erected to the high heavens and, gray and black. And that's just like the whole scene. And so when a woman says, I reject that standard and I'm going to come into into alignment with my vibrational essence and I'm going to let you see me, it's literally like heads turn in, right? And then we work on creating the safety to keep letting this expand. It's a journey. It's a journey that I'm talking about. And, confidence. Here, I love this. confidence, the word confidence, actually it means like with faith. That's what it means. So with faith in what, right? For me, it's ultimately with faith in ourselves. So confidence, con, like with, and fidence comes from fidelity, faith. So with faith, confidence means with faith. I'm confident. I'm with faith. With faith with trust in myself. And so the way that I'm talking about confidence and what's available is I'm talking that there is an opportunity for each one of us, men and women, to come in such vibrational integrity with who and what we are, that is the confidence with which we move forward, that is the faith in the integrity of ourselves, and like having seen ourselves, having learned these codes of what does this mean? How do I embody my most authentic self and let it be a blessing? How do I do that? When we learn that, the confidence is off the charts. And again, that's a process as well, right? It's not like you arrive at like confidence, but there is like, you arrive at a confidence that's like, ooh, this is a new like brand of confidence I didn't even know existed. And now I'm gonna grow this, right? I'm gonna now grow it with like my actions and my connections and my impact. So yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. I just want to see if there's anything else that I missed here. I really believe at this time, I really believe that every single woman needs to learn these codes that I'm talking about, the beauty codes, and coming into full vibrational harmony with herself. Because we need you. We need your impact. We need your gifts. We need your creativity. And while I know you want to make the impact, one of the sweetest parts of this journey that I haven't even talked about is like what happens when you see yourself. Like, we're talking about to be seen by others, but I'm suggesting you haven't even been seen by yourself. There's a quote that I love by Osho, which is that, your whole idea of yourself is borrowed from those who have no idea who they are themselves. And so if you want to be seen, see yourself first. Learn to see yourself first. Learn these codes. Learn what it is to own your beauty. Learn what it is to dress in vibrational harmony with your essence. And then come to pushing the edges, right? Come to pushing the edges to who you thought you were, what you thought was acceptable, what you thought was presentable, right? I mean, it's like crazy things happen. Crazy things happen. You start having like whole different like walk, like people's walks change, okay? I have a client whose walk changed. It's like their faces, everything changes, because I'm saying like let yourself be seen by everybody else, but the sweetest part to me, because we all want the impact, right? We all want the external result. To me, the sweetest part is this profound journey of coming home, seeing yourself, seeing ourselves. And then because that has to happen first, that happens first. And it's a kind of like a dance, but that deepening is, it's just the sweetest thing in the world. And so I've been talking, and I wanted you guys to know that the doors to my signature program are open. Several amazing women, truly amazing women, have already stepped in. It's called Beauty Unleashed. It's a 6-month transformational journey through beauty, style, and divine feminine embodiment. It is very juicy. You learn about the beauty codes, your psychology of color, your unique psychology of color. You get your color palette. We create a whole new wardrobe for you, and you learn about like your unique sacred geometry and your unique essence. And then we go into archetypal embodiment of embodying different archetypes, and how can this support you in being fully seen, fully received. And I'm so excited about it. This is the culmination of a lot of good work. It's a group program. It starts in March, but actually the moment that the woman enrolls, I create her custom psychology of color palette, and she begins the journey of healing some of these wounds that I touched on today. And if you missed them, you can watch, the wound of too much, and owning the shadow pieces around wanting to be seen and not letting ourselves be seen. And so the healing journey begins when someone signs up, and then we officially start our group experience on March 14th. And the applications are open, so I'm going to put a link to the application to talk to me, because there has been so much interest, and I'm really just doing my best. This is not, the program is for women who have already been on the path for a while, who are awake enough to know that they have a role to play in the rise of the feminine, and they are a yes to this third way, which is what I call third stage consciousness, kind of borrowed from some of David Data's work, and as it applies to self-expression and beauty and being seen. So that's who it's for. Who it's not for is, anyone who is not really willing to move through these blocks, because I know we all have a lot of wounds. A lot of us have wounds around this stuff, because from the witch trials to like everything, it hasn't been safe, but now it is. And so it's also a premium level program. It's very high touch. It's a lot of my time. And so it does require an investment. So if you're not in a position, if, making a premium investment would stress you out too much, then I would say wait. I create lots of free stuff, and I'm also working to, create some things that don't have as much touch with me. But this program has my mentorship, my energy. It also has some live retreat in there, and a lot of amazingness. I bring designers. I bring so many amazing things to you. I bring other teachers and other healers, and really, like, it's a transformative experience. And it's something that my private clients have paid very top dollar for a long time. And now it's still premium level, but it's a group experience. And like I said, some amazing women have already stepped in. So if this made a difference for you, then just fill out an application. There is no commitment. I just want to know if it's a fit for us to get on the phone and learn about where you are and what you're up to and what's a priority and how can this work radicalize your leadership, your beauty, which I believe with every bone in my body, that how you are created, your physicality is a gift, that it is linked to your purpose, that it is linked to who you are here to be and how you are here to serve and uplift, raise the vibration of the planet. I believe this is a very unique opportunity available to women, it's the joy of my heart. It's the joy of my heart to share it. It is incredibly fun. You end up with an amazing wardrobe of clothes. You end up with a healed relationship with yourself as a woman, your body, that impulse of life that I was talking about, the holding back, like that just falls away. And you turn heads and you learn how to have that be this absolute blessing, and how to feel safe, and how to be in this give and take, which just crazy connections, crazy things have happened. I mean, the most amazing things. People let their unique creativity out in a way that they never felt was safe to let out before. And then, like press comes calling, just like strangers. I have clients who tell me like strange men just like compliment her from across the street. I mean, so many amazing things happen. It's just about like who you are, what are you up to, and what's the unique way that this is meant to serve you at this time. And this is work that definitely gives for a lifetime. So I'm going to post the link to the application. If you have any questions, if you have hearts or likes, I hope this was good. This is part 1. I'm gonna post the next 2 parts in the next 2 days. I'm gonna dive a little bit more into claiming your role and what's happening, and some more teachings on really what it takes to be seen, to create the courage and the freedom and the confidence to really have the impact that we desire. So grateful that you guys stayed with me, and just so much love and so many blessings. Bye, loves.